Dear compatriot, it was said by the Jewish that the devil does not prevail until given power. Our country has been set on a paradoxical mood for the last few months because of the devil, which was given power by some of our government officials. In that regard, permit me to send a message, the word of advice to my chairman, the chairman of South Sudan National Youth Union, Mr.Gola Boyoi. Mr. Chairman, there was a village called the Dark Village, which was ruled by the king. King rolled out 3 rules to govern his king. Rule number 1, whoever will betray the interests of the Dark Village must be hanged to death. Whoever will steal property in the Dark Village, that person must be executed because he is a public enemy. Whoever will be found committing adultery with somebody's wife, that person must be hanged to death. Village elders agreed to the 3 rules. And the king proceeded and appointed youth representative to his council. This youth representative, immediately after he was appointed, he abandoned his responsibilities as youth representative and he started acting as a spy and as a snitch. He kept collecting information in the village and brought them to the king. One time the king rolled out another 2 policies, and the king was so brutal in his ruling. Anybody that differ with him must be executed or sent to the exile. King came out with the taxation policy and informed the village council of elders that every household must pay 1 chicken every month. Failure to comply with it, then you will be fined to pay a goat. And remember, not every village or not every household in the village always has chicken. Some members don't even have chicken. The only thing they had to do is to write to the nearby villages to exchange the agricultural produce in order to acquire chicken. The king also rolled out the pernicious and inhuman rules. He called all the chiefs in the Dark Village and told them, every year, each one of them must come with a virgin girl to the palace. Failure to comply, then you'll be fired, and not only being terminated, you will be killed. Youth of the Dark Village were unhappy. They went ahead to attack the king's son, and king has only 1 child. Kadugu himself came to the king and informed the king that, my lord, this is the list of the youth who attacked your son. And let me remind you, my lord, they are not only attacking your son, they are also planning to attack your palace. You need to do something to prevent them. The king paused and asked Kadugu, what should I do? Kadugu told the king that, my lord, you need to organize an event that bring all the youth together, and then your secret army will storm the event and kidnap them and kill them. The king accepted the brilliant idea from Kadugu. He went ahead and informed village elders that we will be having our village youth festival. In the morning, at the evening hours, youth converged at the village square during the moonlight. Most of them were showcasing their talents through dance, songs, and storytellings. Immediately, king rose up and declared occasion official opening. Kadugu himself left the event and informed the secret army. And while youth representatives were speaking, the secret army stormed the village square and kidnapped all the youth and killed them. The Dark Village was indeed in the darkness during that time. Village elders were unhappy and they were shocked with such a strain in the history of the Dark Village. And as it normally happens in an African culture, once strange things happen in the village, it is the responsibility of the elders to converge and console their ancestors. The dark village elders converge and console with their gods and their ancestors to tell them what is happening in their village. Kadugu spotted them, and he rushed to the king and told the king, "My lord, the village elders converge and I don't know what they are discussing. Possibly, I suspect they are discussing on how to overthrow you. And you need to do something to prevent it before it happens." The king accepted it and said, "Don't worry. You go and inform the secret army. And next tomorrow we'll have event. And these elders must be killed. The vocal ones must be eliminated. This kingdom is mine and nobody should tamper with it." And Kadugu realized that his trust with the king is getting stronger day by day. And he started developing this aspiration that he will be the next king once the king died. But there is one challenge and one obstacle, and that is the king's son. Kadugu went ahead and informed his wife to seduce and sleep with the king's son, so that king's son can be convicted under the rule number 3. The Kadugu wife accepted. He went and slept with the king's son. They were caught and brought to the palace. The king told the elders that, "My people, I will not compromise our law. My son must be executed tomorrow." While the people were hoping that in the morning the king's son will be executed publicly. At midnight, king sent his son and his 2 bodyguards to the exile. In the morning, he told the village elders that, "My son was executed last night." People were happy, although there were some few wise men who were not convinced. Kadugu reminded the king that the event should take place so that the vocal elders need also to be eliminated. And before they organized the event, the ancestors of the land were unhappy. They sent darkness. One of the afternoon, the entire village was covered by darkness, and people could not even see themselves. The king was so wise, he was suspicious about Kadugu, that Kadugu anytime might reveal the secret. He sent his 2 men to kidnap Kadugu. And in the morning, he called village elders and he told them, "My people, I promise you that I must find the man behind the killing of our youth. And here is our own son, Kadugu, conspired with our enemies to betray the interests of our kingdom. And Kadugu must face the law." Village elders were happy that their prayers were answered finally by their ancestors and their gods. They slept, and in the morning, Kadugu was taken to the village square and hung to death. His wife went to the exile with his 2 children. And the king's son returned to the palace after Kadugu died and his wife left the kingdom. The king's son returned to the kingdom and his father, the king, died, and the son took over the palace and he ran the kingdom. Why do I cite this story? I am here to give the word of advice to my chairman, Mr.Gola Boyoi. For the last few weeks, we have seen on social media through your writings that you have been agitating and mocking the voices of anti-dredging and anti-Jonkunoekana resumption. And let me remind you, Mr. President or Mr. Chairman, it was very unfortunate that you are supporting such pernicious project. And there are numerous things that we believe, as our chairman, that you will always stand with the youth of South Sudan. It's very unfortunate that you are not doing very well as we expect of you. We were expecting you to be vocal enough and condemn the atrocities that are happening in our country. The incidences which took place in Eastern Equatoria, where over 230 people were killed. You did not even condemn. What happened in Abia, you did not even condemn. In Warab, you did not even condemn. In Western Equatoria, you did not even condemn. The things that are happening on daily basis in Upper Nile region, you did not even condemn. Nor do you even send your condolence messages on behalf of South Sudan youth, Mr. Chairman. And these are your responsibilities. Mr. Chairman, let me remind you, it was not so long ago when you were accused that you wrote letters, one letter to the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt and one letter to the President of the Military Council of Sudan. Don't make South Sudan youth to be convinced that those letters were genuine by supporting Egyptian interests. You are not Egyptian youth representative. You are South Sudan youth representative. And I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, if you don't want to differ with your bosses, of which at some time one may not agree to differ with his boss, but I advise you to choose only and press one button, the button that always show every man's face to be innocent and wise, even the fool's one. And that button is the button of silence. You better choose to be silent, Mr. Chairman, so that we assume, as the youth of South Sudan, that our chairman is with us. And your bosses, whom you don't want to hurt them, will assume too that you are with them. Mr. Chairman, you are not representing any party in that country, but you are representing youth. And youth are the largest portion of our population, over 70%. And that tells you that youth are the ones that are always become the victims. We were the victim of the past, and we are now the victims of the present. And still, possibly, we will be the victim of the future. I thought you will be so much active on how to carry out civic education to youth across the country. Mr. Chairman, I don't need you to agitate us and start branding us that we have hidden agenda. We don't have hidden agenda toward our government. We love the government, and we don't need them to be remembered of bad things. We don't need our government to be remembered as a government that has looted the country into its knees. There are numerous bad things that happen in our country, which has already filled up the book of darkness. But we are requesting our government to rescue only this interest of South Sudan and reserve our nature, and that is our water. And it was so unfortunate that you support the Egyptian interest. And let me tell you, Mr. President, there come a times where the buyer, which you want to sell your own people to, reject your commodity and consume you as the seller. And that's exactly what happened in the history of the Dark Valley to the youth representative called Kadogo. I'm not saying you are Kadogo, but you need to revisit your writings and try to refrain yourself from such debate if you don't want to be part and parcel of it. To my fellow citizen and fellow youth, the debate now is on the high table, and we are reminding our president, you made the right decision, and we don't need you to be recorded in the book of history as the president who allowed the nature of our country to be sold to another country. Protect the report. We have seen what transpired in the Freedom Hall during the 5th day of public consultation. Hyenas are not sleeping. Protect that report and do what is the best interest of the people of South Sudan. Mr. President, history will remember you. And you are the one, if anything happened in our country now, it will squarely be blamed on you. And historians are not sleeping, and academics, they are writing on daily basis. And the reason is simple. It's because you are the head that everything will be blamed on you. And being the head, we expect you to think like head, act like head, behave like head, and history will remember you at a certain positive angle. To my fellow countrymen and women, thank you so much. Let's keep talking. It is not yet over until it is over. May God bless you all. May God bless South Sudan. And may God bless Africa. Thank you.